Was Paulo Costa ever really that good? Man, I've been sitting with this question for a minute because you look at Paulo Costa now, the version that just got, jabbed into orbit by Strickland, and it's hard to believe that this guy was that guy, like the boogeyman of the middleweight division. Remember that? Back when he was walking dudes down like he was a mini Francis at 185, body built like a superhero, swinging hooks like he was trying to delete bloodlines. But somewhere along the way, the wheels started falling off, and honestly, I don't even think it happened all at once. It's been a slow, painful unraveling. I mean, let's start with the obvious. The dude hasn't evolved at all, like zero. The Paulo Costa you saw 5 years ago, that's the same guy we're still watching today. Same wide stance, same forward pressure, same winging body hooks and kicks, no new layers, no defense, and the second he fights someone who doesn't fall under pressure, it's like his whole game evaporates, okay? Now, I get it. Early on, that style worked. Hell, it really worked. I mean, look at that Uriah Hall fight. On paper, Uriah Hall should have pieced him up. He's the cleaner striker, faster, more technical, better jab, better movement. And for a bit, that's exactly what was happening. Hall was landing that jab at will, snapping Costa's head back like it was a Pez dispenser. But here's the thing about Uriah Hall. He's one of those guys who's got all the skills in the world, but the second you make it ugly, the second you drag him into a dogfight, he kind of disappears. Costa was smart that night. Not technical, not polished, but smart. He stayed in Hall's face. Consistent pressure, ripping body shots. And even though he was getting lit up with that jab, he didn't care. He just kept walking forward, and Hall, instead of sticking to the jab and footwork and picking Costa apart from the outside, he stood there and traded. He played Costa's game. And guess what? You try to outbrawl Paulo Costa in the pocket, you're getting folded. But that kind of only works when your opponent lets it happen. And that's the problem. As soon as Costa started facing guys who didn't play into his strengths, like Adesanya, Vettori, Strickland, it became crystal clear that this dude hasn't added any new tools. Still can't check leg kicks, still gets jabbed to death, still has zero head movement. And when he doesn't break you early, when you survive the initial blitz, he fades every time. But the root of it, man, the real core of Paulo Costa's decline is that the sport moved forward and he didn't. Guys like Strickland, they just came in with basic jabs and composure, and it's enough to outclass him. That's not good. That's a red flag. You shouldn't be able to make a top 10 middleweight look lost with just a jab and some footwork. That Strickland's fight was the final stand for me. Costa had moments, landing some, clean kicks, sure, but he never took over, never made Sean uncomfortable. And in the 5th round, he got dropped with a head kick. And mind you, this is the same Sean Strickland who people clown for just jabbing. Bro didn't even go into 3rd gear and still walked out with the W. So yeah, maybe Paulo Costa was never that good to begin with. Maybe he was just a big, scary guy in the division full of strikers who didn't know how to deal with the pressure. Or maybe he had potential and he just never developed it. Either way, the guy we're looking at now, he's a long way from that destroyer people feared back in 2018. So yeah, maybe Paulo Costa was never that good to begin with, or maybe he was, but he just stopped evolving. Either way, that version of him, the destroyer, he's long gone. And if we're gonna be honest, the downfall didn't start with Sean Strickland. It didn't even start with Marvin Vettori or Luke Rockhold. Nah, the real turning point was Israel Adesanya. That was the fight where all his aura died. And all that muscle, all that memes, all the pre-fight trolling, it got all chopped down by a calf kick and feints. Costa just stood there like a statue while Izzy was picking him apart, then finished them with ease. It wasn't just a loss, it was humiliating, and he's never been the same since. And from there, it was like he started drifting, he came in overweight against Vettori, gassed out early, and got outworked in a scrap that turned into a glorifying sparring match. Then came the Rockhold fight, which yeah, Costa technically won, but it was ugly. Luke was exhausted halfway through round 1 and still managed to light him up at times. And if you can't put away a guy on the verge of collapsing, how dangerous are you really? And keep in mind, Luke Rockhold was already past his prime too. And then there was the Robert Whittaker fight, man. Bro, if we're being real, Rob beat Costa with the same type of patience and control Izzy used. Clean jab, lateral movement, same angles. Costa still had no answer. He landed some solid body kicks, and yeah, he even rocked Rob a bit at the end of the first round. You could see it. Whittaker got caught and ate a big shot and had a reset, but it doesn't really matter because the rest of the fight, Costa was still getting pieced up, outclassed in almost every exchange. No follow-up, no real momentum, Just a couple flashes that didn't change the outcome. That brings us to the Sean Strickland fight, the jab merchant, the guy who fights like a training partner you can't hit clean. And somehow that guy just jabbed Costa's face off for 5 straight rounds, staying composed the entire time, and dropped him with a clean head kick in the final seconds of that fight. Like, Sean Strickland threw a head kick and sat him down. That's how far we've come, okay? And yeah, you could point to the earlier fights like the Yoel Romero fight where Costa went to war and stood toe-to-toe with another freak athlete in one of the most wildest 3-rounder fights we've ever seen. Or the Uriah Hall fight like I brought up earlier where Costa got jabbed to hell early but walked through everything, dug to the body, and eventually broke him down with pressure and power. Or even way back to the Johnny Hendricks fight where Costa looked like a human bulldozer smashing a welterweight who had no business fighting at middleweight. All highlights, all moments, all explosive, all fun. But here's the problem. None of those guys fought with structure. None of them stuck to a composed game plan. As soon as you gave Costa chaos, he thrives. But the second you stay calm, jab, move, don't fold, his entire game starts to completely fall apart. There's no layers, no adjustments, just raw firepower with no steering wheel. The biggest issue is that he's the same fighter today that he was 5 years ago. Same stance, same blitz, same naked body kicks, still doesn't check leg kicks, still bites off feints, still has 0 head movements. And every time he fights with real fight IQ, the same thing happens. He gets read, he gets picked apart, and then he gets outclassed. The Costa we have today isn't the monster people feared back in 2018. He's a guy with the same bag of tricks, except everyone already seen the act. The difference now is that they're not scared of it anymore. And now Costa's sitting at 14-4, and he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's heading into UFC 318 this Saturday in what honestly feels like a career-saving fight. Like, no exaggeration, this might be his last real shot at being taken seriously. Another loss here, and we're not talking about whether he's a top 10 anymore, or we're even talking about that he's still even relevant. Whether the UFC is going to start using his name to build up younger guys, that's how steep the drop is. And standing across from him is Roman Kopylov. And now, I know a lot of casuals might not be super familiar with him, but Roman, he's a beast, man. Like, if you actually watch his fights, like really watch, then you know that this guy is a problem. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's incredibly technical. A sharp southpaw, tight punches in the pocket, scary body work, and a seriously underrated kill switch. He's 14-3 with 12 knockouts, and he's coming off a 2-fight win streak where he head kicked one guy into a void and edged out a split decision at UFC 302. This isn't some bounce back layup for Costa. This is a legit, dangerous striker who's found his rhythm. And here's where it gets interesting. Costa's still talking like the beast from 2018 is alive and well. He's promising fireworks, saying the old Paulo is back, even bringing up the spinning heel kick he landed on Whitaker. Like, see, I got it. And yeah, to be fair, he did rock Rob at the end of that round 1. That shot was real. Whitaker had a reset. It was the first time in a while we saw Costa land something that had real impact on a high-level guy. But here's the thing, it didn't matter. Rob gathered himself and went right back into jabbing Costa's face. Same story, we've seen it again and again. Costa had his moments and then it disappears. Whether it's cardio, mental freeze, or just no plan B, the dude hasn't been able to string together real momentum in years. And Roman's the kind of guy who can make that worse. He's patient, he's precise. You rush in wild, he'll plant a clean left straight right down your throat. You try to outmuscle him in round 1, he'll make you pay in round 2 and round 3. I mean, go watch his fight with Ribeiro. Dude set up a head kick knockout like he was pulling it out of a textbook. Everything about him says tight, efficient, and composed. Now, Costa's path is pretty obvious. He needs to make this fight ugly early, rip the body kicks, pressure hard, and try to drag Kopylov into chaos. That's where he thrives. When guys crumble under the blitz. It worked against Uriah Hall. It worked against Hendricks. Hell, it even worked with Yoel Romero, dragging into a dogfight and barely survived it. That's the thing that got us all hype about Paulo Costa. But that fighter hasn't showed up in a very long time. These days, Costa just walks forward, throws 1 or 2 big shots, and then just kind of coasts. The pressure is not the same. The combinations are slower. And when the guys don't go away, he starts looking confused. And if Roman Kopylov ends up being Paulo Costa, it's likely to be a case of precision being chaos. Kopylov doesn't rush, he doesn't overextend, he's composed, he's a southpaw with a sharp boxing slick counter, and one of the nastiest body kicks in the game, in the division. And yeah, That's a real problem for Costa, who's shown vulnerability to the body before, especially when the pace is slow and the brawling doesn't work. If Costa can't overwhelm Kopylov early with pressure and volume, this fight is going to start to tilt towards Roman. He's the more technical striker, better at picking shots, and he won't get dragged into a wild exchange unless he chooses to. And I just don't think Costa's going to show up. I think he's going to lose, and when it's over, a lot of people are going to look back and say, man, maybe Costa was never that good to begin with. And look, man, I want to be more positive about Costa. I really do. But time after time, it's been the same story. He talks big, but we haven't seen real improvement in years. Meanwhile, Kopylov is a hell of a striker. The dude's clean, patient, calculated, and I think he's going to piece up Costa, and most likely, I see a TKO in the third round